I would like to offer some thoughts on the passing of our nation's 39th president, Jimmy Carter. For a very long time now, President Carter was in hospice care, and this is not about sadness at the very end of his life. This is more about the good that he did for humanity after he left the presidency. President Carter did a lot for Habitat for Humanity, and he worked very hard, even into his later years, to build affordable housing. And not only was the president known for building and creating houses in his home in Georgia, but the president lived a very quiet and fulfilling life after he left the White House for many years. He rode his bike a lot. He was a fisher. He loved building other things with wood. He loved also playing tennis and skiing. And President Carter also wrote poems, and not that many people realize that, but he was recognized at Westminster Abbey right after he left the White House in the 1980s. Now, everybody will remember him for the bad stuff that he did during his presidency. A lot of historians say he mishandled the Iranian crisis. That was all in the past. And the president again lived a very fulfilling, meaningful life after he served his 4 years from 1977 to 1981. And right now, our country is in mourning. We have officially lost the oldest living president in our nation's history. No other former living president lived longer than President Jimmy Carter did. And right now, as Americans, if you agreed with what he did for the 4 years that he was president, or disagreed what he did, or first taking in the news that, of course, nowadays with everything that flashes pretty quickly, the headlines come very up in your face, if I'm going to say it that way. But right now, as Americans, we all must pray for the Carter family. I want to give my sincere condolences to Jimmy Carter's wonderful wife, Rosalind, who also helped Jimmy out with his post-presidential goals. We also have to give our thoughts and prayers also not only to Rosalind, but we also have to give our thoughts and prayers to his 4 children, Jack, James, Donald, and his daughter Amy, who are grieving in their time of need right now. And I'm sure that the president will lower the flags at half-staff. It is a tradition. The last former living president, George H.W. Bush, who passed away in 2018, President Donald Trump at that time lowered the flags at half staff to remember President George H.W. Bush at that time. And there will be more time to think about Mr. Carter's passing. And I'm sure that out of respect that there is a slim chance that his body may lie in the U.S. Capitol building. And I'm sure the Carter family has already made funeral arrangements in Georgia. So, yes, again, a very, very grieving time for our country right now, as again, for President Carter, who lived for as long as he did. I'm sure a lot of Americans are grieving this news right now, and we all have to be somber and considerate during our time of healing right now. And again, if you're on either side of the aisle, you need to please just respect this country's time of grieving right now. And I'm sure that we will hear from the other former living presidents. We'll likely hear soon from President Clinton, President George W. Bush, and we will hopefully hear from President Barack Obama, and hopefully they will give their thoughts on the passing of President Carter. So, again, let us all come together and remember the life of a man who lived life to the fullest after he left Washington, D.C. and fulfilled his public service for 4 years.